Autonomous AI is pretty much everywhere now. It's quietly reshaping our world, from the cars we're starting to see on the road to how doctors can diagnose diseases. And it promises this incredible future of efficiency and safety. But as these systems start making more and more decisions all on their own, we've got to ask a really crucial question. When an AI makes a choice, what, or maybe who, is guiding its morals? Okay, let's really dive into this, because this question, it gets right to the heart of everything we're talking about today. When a machine is making a decision that could alter someone's life, and there's no direct human hitting the approve button, then the values that are baked into its code are, well, they're everything. So where in the world do those values even come from? So first things first, let's just ground ourselves in how deeply these systems are already woven into our lives. We are not talking about some distant science fiction future here. This is happening right now, and it's completely reshaping entire industries. I mean, think about it. Self-driving cars that have to navigate crazy city streets, or AI that helps doctors spot cancer way earlier than a human eye ever could. The promise here is just enormous. All of these systems are designed to make our lives safer, easier, more convenient. But, and this is a big but, with that great power comes a set of really tricky, hidden challenges. And this is where we get to the absolute core of the problem. For all their amazing sophistication, these autonomous systems have what you could call ethical blind spots. These are complex issues that pop up from the very way these things are built and trained. One of the biggest issues is what experts call the black box problem. The AI might spit out an answer, like, say, recommending a sentence in a court case, but we can't actually see the logic it used to get there. It's a mystery. And that lack of transparency makes it incredibly hard to trust the outcome, let alone challenge it if it just feels wrong. Now, this is really fascinating because it shows the huge gap between what we hope AI will be and what it often is. The goal, the dream, is for AI to be perfectly objective, right? Totally free from all our messy human prejudices. But the reality is, because AI learns from data that we create, it often ends up inheriting and sometimes even amplifying our own biases. And this is not theoretical stuff. This happens in the real world. Research found that Amazon's facial recognition software was way less accurate for women and people of color. That's a huge problem. In another case, a company built an AI hiring tool, but it had to be scrapped because it taught itself that men were better candidates. Why? Because it was trained on 10 years of mostly male resumes. It literally downgraded resumes that mentioned things like women's chess club. So this all leads to the really thorny issue of accountability. I mean, when an autonomous car crashes, who's on the hook? The person who owns the car? The company that built it? The programmer who wrote the code? If we don't have a clear answer for who is ultimately responsible, it's almost impossible to ensure justice or to prevent the same mistakes from happening again. So, what are we doing about all this? Well, the good news is, this is not a problem we're just ignoring. All around the world, experts, companies, and governments are working really hard to try and build a moral code for AI. And you can really see the momentum that's been building here. It started with things like the foundational Aslam principles back in 2017. Then you had major tech companies like Google creating their own guidelines. And now you've got global bodies like UNESCO setting international standards. There's a clear, growing consensus that we need some rules for the road. And this isn't just talk either. We're seeing real, concrete action. You've got tech giants like Microsoft and IBM developing entire initiatives and even toolkits to help build more responsible AI. And at the same time, governments are stepping up with major laws like the EU's big AI Act and the AI Bill of Rights in the US, all aimed at creating real safeguards. Okay, so what does all of this global conversation and action really add up to? Well, a clear framework is starting to emerge, and it's one that's grounded in some serious academic research about how to build AI that we can actually trust. The research that this whole explainer is based on proposes exactly that, a solid, ethical framework to guide both the developers building this tech and the policymakers regulating it. It's not about stopping innovation, it's about steering it in a direction that lines up with our most important human values. And here it is, the crucial point of the whole framework. It all rests on three powerful, interconnected pillars: transparency, fairness, and accountability. These three ideas, when they work together, form the foundation for AI we can actually rely on. Let's just break each one down real quick. First up, transparency. This is basically the antidote to that black box problem we talked about earlier. It's about demanding that we can see and understand how an AI system gets from point A to point B. It's about turning that opaque box into a glass box. Second, we have fairness. This means we have to go way beyond just feeding the AI a bunch of data and hoping for the best. It means we have to actively search for and root out the biases in our data and our algorithms to make sure the system treats everybody equitably. And finally, accountability. This is about making absolutely sure that when an AI system messes up or causes harm, someone is responsible. It creates clear lines of ownership and a path for justice, which is just fundamental if we want the public to have any confidence in this stuff. So, bringing this all together, it becomes pretty clear that the future of ethical AI isn't just in the hands of a few programmers or people in government. It really requires all of us to be part of the conversation, a conversation that's grounded in solid research. And it's so important to remember, this framework we've been talking about, it isn't just a nice idea. It's built on years of credible, peer-reviewed research. In fact, this number you see, 532, that's the number of academic citations for just one of the authors of the source paper. That gives you a little taste of the depth of scholarship that's informing these principles. So we end up right back where we started, but maybe with a bit of a new perspective. These machines aren't inheriting some moral code from the heavens. They're inheriting it directly from us. So the really crucial question isn't just whose morality the AI will use, but what values are we as a society going to choose to deliberately and carefully build into them? That's the challenge, and honestly, the responsibility that we all share.